It's so quiet.
Is Vinchi okay?
Girls, keep it down. We don't know if the troll is still out there.
No need to worry about him, ma'am.
Vinchi, you're okay.
Oh, well, yes, I am. No, I didn't kill him. But if you step outside, you'll see what his demise was caused by. You see, the gunshots sounded similar to thunderclaps, making him assume that another storm was coming.
Is that him?
Yep, all 10 feet of stone mountain troll with an extra vitamin D is now a glorified lawn ornament.
Are you sure?
Well, as mentioned, since he's a mountain troll, just a little bit of light and petrify.
That's a dear idea, Squire. I'll get the baskets.
Wouldn't be a bad idea to analyze the den for more information, tools, or any undecided factor for the council that may find it useful. Knowledge at a primary source, after all.
While the warden and Hellen looked after Primrose, the rest of the women and the Tekla climbed back up the mountain path and into the troll's den. The fact that they were nearly doomed to either cross early or be frozen into stone haunted their minds for a brief moment as they explored. The large cabinet stored an overabundance of bread, spices, and preserved plants to last more than several months. As the sisters gathered and transferred them back and forth to the homestead, Vinchi and the lad finished searching for various forms of useful information.
Search for something useful. Not sure. A letter, a document. Aha! Here we are. This is big. This looks like a map of the stone forest. This is incredible, for the Stewards had a desire for one of these for years. Not even Barnabas could get his hands on one. The peoples and members of that territory are very reserved. They are kept well guarded for one another and make sure that the slight amount of territory that they manage to keep for themselves isn't invested by those that take back the lands, no matter who owns what. Like I said before, the stone forest is a sanctuary territory, not only for the creatures of the tunnel to be quarantined, but also for the exiled and ostracized. This was the territory that was negotiated between Thalamus and Corinth to give small bits of the lands to the Amer people after the war between nations, resulting in the holocaust of the indigenous creatures and the peoples that first walked among these lands. Happened a cycle and 3 quarters ago. But I'm sure you already know that through your history class. The Amer people. How to describe them? They're sort of like trolls, but the peaceful kind. Based upon what Barnabas had told me and the council, they just wanted to live peaceful lives after the bloodshed that they had to witness and be a part of. They felt tainted and robbed of their ways. Ooh, yeah. Oh, ow, ow, that was a spoon. They couldn't be farther from the truth. When Corinth demanded land access to get to Cyprium, resulting in reforming, establishing, and creating the Treaty of Ishmarop. Oh, okay. Now, I need to duplicate this map on a smaller scale. Now, if I could find some form of... Aha! Here! I'll just tear a little corner of this right here. There. And of the map. And now to step on here and to draw it. On the contrary, dear lad, I can't wield essence without my paintbrush just yet, but that doesn't mean I can't be creative and draw when needed. You can write that down and let Hindress know otherwise. Owen overheard the conversation that the glorified peacock had with you and the lass, and he decided to inform me of his little scheme, to which I'm not surprised, considering how this sniveling coward would use a scribbler's journal to get insight before Lord Bardock would receive it. I gotta erase that. Here we go. Hold on. The lower right corner down after putting that. I get it. Could you move that mug over to that corner, please? Perfect. Hopefully this won't take too long. Artisan is an old and new mystery that is ever changing by the year. The materials also make it a difference in how it's wielded. My brush, for example, is made of a siphon-based material of unknown origins. It holds a creative base essence that can bring things to life after its completion. I can simply draw things with other materials like charcoal sticks, paints, and pencils made by human hands that do not affect the subject. In this case, if I used my brush to draw a map duplicate, I would end up creating a windowing entrance to that area and location. But it can only go so far. Windowing will only take you to a specific location, but you can never return to the starting point. That doesn't mean you can't draw a windowing way home. Even some military forces thought it to be of good use as a means of transport for war. However, it would take too much essence to move an entire army from a base camp over to the battlefield and back again. And besides, we'd all be destroyed and nothing would be left of Niarb with all this war going on. No, but I recall hearing a tale of how Tiumm the Tainted banished a fearsome war chief and his party after creating an island with a powerful paintbrush that she wielded at the time. Don't tell me that you are not familiar with the tales of the tarnished steward who wielded many thanes, yet she was banned by those who she swore to protect and sacrifice everything for? Ah, right. Farm boy raised. Story time. Tiumm the Tainted took a powerful paintbrush from a medicine man of the war camp that was stolen from a powerful steward. But when the Tainted was willingly captured, the chief took the brush and attempted to draw a pile of gold, only to be turned into a great serpent in reaction to the warrior chief's hand. Seeing that Tiumm the Tainted can draw a subject without compromise, he demanded that she would draw a mountain pile of gold and weapons as resources. Yet, the Tainted had other plans. Formerly known as the Silver Fox by her family, she convinced the chief to have her draw an island that had a golden tree made unto the island so it would be guarded by itself, so it wouldn't be required anything else but the riches of its golden apples. The chief, who never knew the magic of windowing, demanded that he would be taken there by the Tainted. So she had done the impossible and created an island off the coast of Corinth, where, true to her word, there was a golden tree that was made of a powerful brush. So the chief, drawn by greed, entered the windowing essence, where a storm was waiting for him. Once he entered, the Tainted destroyed the drawing and took command of the entire war camp, and they made her their new chieftain. Their loyalty towards her was stronger in comparison to the forced ones toward the tyrant of their previous chief. I suppose one could think of her as such, a heroine, if for no other reason than society at the time, and still. They today paint her to be based upon their standards, no more than an anti-hero. Now, almost done. Here we are, done. And for good measure, no windowing essence. Well, one can't really tell if it's the same nation one lives in. Well, here, just take it. Looks like it'll take another day to reach the stone forest. Why would I draw a map if I already know where it is? I only know about the stone forest through Barnabas. No human has ever entered in it or come out of it whole again in the past cycle and a 3/4. The last human that entered and escaped was a young novice that claimed to have entered into it and as a dare and returned with a state of mind that was neither of madness nor intelligence. He spoke of things that made one think, was it real or was it pretend? My point is, if we can locate Barnabas without getting caught by the Amer, our chances of things going wrong would be in our favor to not be in their favor, if you know what I mean. Besides, having a copy of the Stone Forest map will give the council a no reason to trust me with my brush again if I can get you two and Barnabas to its ad with our minds intact. You get what I'm saying? Good. Now, let's get this food back to the homestead. Then, I'm going to collapse and die in my sleep from exhaustion. We will all sleep like infants after having a wild 36 hours.
The artist and the squire return with the two older sisters with the remaining food and supplies. Hellen greeted and led them through the damaged door that the warden managed to repair while they were gone. On a side note, she managed to report everything that had occurred to the council through Lord Hindress' book. She also sent a private request to Lord Rogers through the messenger bag for assistance in the repairs of the homestead. Hellen, despite being exhausted, made a wonderful pot of potato soup and bread. The company was more than thankful for it after the last night's event.
I'm sorry we don't have spare beds for you three.
You have been kind enough to shelter us. We shall be leaving in the morning.
It is I who should be thanking you for returning all of my girls, Steward Rams.
Oh, well, I'm no high steward. For any decent individual can afford honor, dignity, and respect to merge with a kind act.
After a long-needed sleep, the Triad rose as promised to head westward towards the stone forest. The landscape once again changed in its formats, transitioning from prairies to desert foothills. A large mountain can be seen over the horizon 4 hours into the journey.
Alright, let's see. According to this map, this is Threshpost Mountain. An odd name indeed, lassie. Must have been named after a folk legend among the Amer, or someone else not of this world beyond the realms. What do I know about the Amer people? If I recall correctly, Barnabas would be the one who you should ask for that supplement of information. Though I was formerly associated with possible fugitives of the Stone Forest that took refuge there once. What makes Dr. Newcastle stand out? Well, he's straightforward, yet poetic. For one who handles the injured wielders, he sure can have bold words if needed. So, in a way, he's not just a medical doctor, but is close to one with the essence involved. He helps those who need to see things, even those who don't wish to see. Ha! Sounds like I was among one of them recently, come to think of it. I don't know, lad. The last time I've heard, he was in the great hurry to return to the Stone Forest for some celebration or something. That, and a part of him needed to be away due to possible circumstances beyond his control. What was his crimes? What is it with you? It's not really his. He has. How am I going to explain this? He has an associate that follows him in all walks. One that influences actions either for the best or the worst of times. That's all I can say. What's that, lad? A story for the road? Well, I already told you of Tiumm the Tainted and how she wielded another steward's brush. Ah, you want to know the entire tale of her becoming the Tainted? Well, get ready for a long tale then. Tiumm was born in the Bellomas, whose entire family fled to the north when her father played a shady game involving a High Lord's wife and many affairs. He, whose name is now forever forgotten, never traveled with the family, for he was found out and captured. His fate is unknown to this day. Tiumm, who was a loyal daughter, vowed to herself that she would never forget the actions that forced her and her family to flee into exile that was a both a blessing and a curse. Her childhood home died on the 30th day of the 11th moon cycle of that year. Many of her kin tried to persuade her to just forgive and let it go. Yet, she claimed, according to some historians, that she may have found it in herself to forgive that man, but she would never forget the terror, anguish, and near public humiliation that her mother endured as a result of that man's actions toward her family. Tiumm claimed that forgetting will give history a higher chance of revisiting their lives with repetition. After years of expectations and limited freedom since childhood, suddenly, Tiumm could now experience and taste the fruits of freedom to be an individual without her father's expectations holding her back. Yet, she was a wayfaring stranger in her mind. For the first 28 years, based upon pleasing that old man. For years she was kept dumb, sick, filled with self-doubt, coiling with fright around her like a snake. No one gave a tinker's curse about how much it would impact her later in her life. She even hated the hazel eyes her father gave her, for it was hard to live with the reminder of that man among the sea of blue in her family members' own. Tiumm found herself joining the Thalamus stewards as a ranger scout. She had essence abilities, but in her past, she was dismissed from using them to not draw attention from her reserved kin. One day, while scouting along the wall of the Demolition Mountains, she came upon a band of soldiers that she never encountered before. She knew they were of the tunnel.
Before I continue with the tale within the tale, one might be confused with the tunnel. It is a large open-mouthed cave that dives deep into the core of Nyarb. No individual has gone in and returned, only to have various creatures and individuals merge into the continent at the center of the nation of Thalamus. Many residents who immigrated from the lands beyond the realm would reside in Nyarb, or be present briefly to assist its nations, only to return to their homeland when they are no longer needed.
These creatures that Tiumm encountered called themselves the Vadigos, shapeshifters that make their faces with the skulls of the situals of their respected clan. 5 clans merged from the tunnel that year: the Moaz, the Pataz, the Pataza, the Jehu, and the Ezio. They had a common goal as of people: to conquer. Tiumm knew the best chance of avoiding an attack was to attempt peace with the clan leaders. She tried and tried to convince the members of the Congregational Council of the Stewards to do so, but they would not take her heed. She claimed that learning from the Vadigos would benefit Nyarb, and yet they were too reserved and afraid of the unknown to attempt such peace and learn such knowledge. One night, while she was scouting, Tiumm encountered a set of the Vadigo siblings from the Badaza clan. Each of them held down a man, a traveler who was on his way from Inurian to Norras alone. Seeing that the male Vadigos attempted to consume the soul essence of the man, Tiumm took her bow with an ironwood arrow and fired it in close range to accommodate its weight. After the arrow pierced the brother's shoulder, the Vadigos spirit escaped its dying body, and its essence merged into the human traveler in order to prevent an early crossing. That Vatigo's sister tried to take Tiumm's essence and body in order to join her brother, only to have the ranger injure her with another ironwood arrow. The sister fled, wounded, leaving Tiumm with a possessed man. When they spoke... Whoa! Whoa! Make her above! Where did this wind come from? No! No, I can't see anything beyond my hand. We need to hunker down and take shelter. Oh, if I had my brush lad, we would have a strong tent or something. But now's not the time. Wait! There! At the large tree. Get over there. Let's huddle there and wait until the storm passes.
The company found a safe spot along it as they huddled around one another with their backs against merciless winds. And by some miracle of the Maker, they all fell into a drowsy sleep. The following morning, the warden was the first to wake due to a hard poke at her side. She looked up, and her eyes widened in horror to see 3 tall man-like creatures similar to the mountain troll, but more tribal, with sets of manes and horns of various kinds framing their faces, carrying spears and pickaxes in their clawed hands.
Who are you 3? And why are you here?
What?
Stop with the screaming. Haven't had me hot bean juice yet.
You just won't admit that you're hanging out with the man on the moon too long after all the prickly pears you did last night.
You sure kept your Malfoy leaf stocked and hidden. You stinker.
Shut your gates! We need to see the fit of these trespassers and...
What goes on here, dear friends?
What? Who speaks?
Is this a way to treat an emissary of the stewards?
Should have known. Newcastle.
We don't need further assistance from you!
Oh, you most certainly do. Don't you recognize the scepter in the fair lady's hand? Well, unless you want to risk your chieftain's king's wrath by turning away royal emissaries of another land.
What exactly are these 3 scamps? Squire?
What's a squire?
Sounds like a wonder. Yes, sounds like a wonder. You're lost?
Lost?
How can one be lost and take shelter here? Last time I looked, this was warded.
Oh, that wind has been allowing more and more mischief wayfarers into our lands.
And they never leave. Like me cousin Yetzis.
We have more pressing matters to address than your no-good, dirty, rotten goat stealing.
Shouldn't you take our guests to the king, my friends?
We will, Vargas. Thank the carver that your people saved mine. Your essence would help grow the glittering stones.
Understood.
We will take you to our king.
Oh, I don't think that would be necessary. I think I could just walk from here.